Ever wonder what happens to old tractors when their farming days are done? Turns out these iron workhorses have been moonlighting in some pretty wild gigs you'd never expect. From Hollywood stunts to competitive dancing. Yes, dancing. These American-made machines have carved out second careers that would make their inventors' jaws drop. Number 10. Tractor Square Dancing Exhibitions. Who says you need 2 left feet when you got 4 wheels? Tractor Square Dancing started as a 1953 International Harvester advertising stunt to showcase the Farmall Super C's revolutionary fast hitch system. The demonstrations took place under circus tents at IH's experimental farm in Hinsdale, Illinois, as part of their Parade of Progress promotion. The campaign demonstrated how easily farmers could switch implements as smoothly as switching dance partners. Unlike Ford's competing 3-point hitch, which required wrestling matches to attach implements, fast hitch allowed operators to simply back up and connect. The spectacle caught on like wildfire. Today, groups like Pennsylvania's Roof Garden Tractor Buddies and Middle Creek Tractor Swingers perform at state fairs and farm shows, executing complex choreography with vintage farmalls from the 1940s and 50s. 8 tractors perform authentic square dance moves, doozy-does, daisy chains, and star formations, all while running in 3rd gear. That's right, 3rd gear. These aren't crawling, they're moving at speeds that would make any insurance agent nervous. The most famous troupe, Iowa's Farmall Promenade, performed for a decade before retiring in 2009. Their couples took names from seed companies, Mr. and Mrs. DeKalb, Mr. and Mrs. Pioneer, with half the drivers donning bonnets and skirts to play the female parts. These performances require serious skill. As organizer George Freimauer puts it, if you've never driven a tractor, it wouldn't work. The clutch work alone during a teacup carousel maneuver would challenge any driver. This uniquely American entertainment combines 2 cultural icons, the square dance and the family tractor, into performances that draw thousands. It's nostalgia on wheels, keeping both dancing and vintage iron alive for new generations. Before we move on to the next one in the list, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you're enjoying this content so far, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch these videos without subscribing. Imagine what we could accomplish if everyone subscribed. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. Thanks to all of you who do. Number 9. Competitive tractor pulling. Welcome to the world's most powerful motorsport, where pull on Sunday, plow on Monday became a battle cry. Tractor pulling evolved from farmers' boasts about whose team could pull the heaviest load. The first motorized competitions happened in 1929 in Bowling Green, Missouri, and Vaughansville, Ohio, when farmers discovered that racing tractors drew bigger crowds than racing horses. By 1969, representatives from 8 states congregated to form the National Tractor Pullers Association, NTPA, creating a uniform rulebook to standardize a sport that had grown wildly popular but chaotic across the Midwest. Before this, rules varied dramatically from county to county, leaving competitors confused about standards. Today's competitions feature everything from stock antique tractors to modified monsters packing multiple engines, producing over 10,000 horsepower. The concept is simple. Pull a weight transfer sled down a 330-foot track 35 feet wide. As the sled moves forward, weights shift mechanically from the back to the front, increasing resistance progressively until the tractor stalls or spins out. The antique classes preserve history while providing thrills. Farmall H and M models dominate because they're affordable and easily modified. Swapping a cylinder head from a Farmall 400, adding propane intake manifolds, and upgrading to electronic ignition can double the stock 45 horsepower to nearly 100. These aren't museum pieces, they're competitive machines. The sport's grown from county fair entertainment to international spectacle. The National Tractor Pulling Championships in Bowling Green, Ohio, annually draws 65,000 spectators over 3 days, with 2,100 campsites filled with fans who travel from around the world. The event, held since 1967 at the Wood County Fairgrounds, generates millions in economic impact for the small Ohio town. Events like Louisville's Championship Tractor Pull, established in 1970 and restructured in 1993 with its prestigious Saturday Night Finals format, and Maids Power Weekend in the Netherlands, showcase American iron on the world stage. The Dutch event attracts 40,000 spectators who watch tractors like the Fendt High Hopes with its 4,000 horsepower engine pull loads, exceeding 250,000 pounds. Number 8. Sawmill Powerhouses. Before electric motors and hydraulic systems, belt-driven sawmills turned logs into lumber using whatever power was available, and old tractors fit the bill perfectly. A John Deere Model A or Farmall M with a belt pulley could run a circular sawmill all day long, transforming timber into building materials for America's growth. The setup was beautifully simple, yet required precision. Park the tractor about 20 feet from the sawmill, stretch a wide leather or canvas belt from the tractor's pulley to the mill's drive wheel. Check the alignment carefully, engage the clutch, and watch the massive circular blade spin to life. Belt alignment was critical. A misaligned belt would walk off the pulley, potentially causing dangerous whiplash. Most mills needed about 40 horsepower to run efficiently. Perfect for tractors like the 1946 Massey Harris 101 SR with its Continental F226 engine, Oliver 88, or the reliable Farmall M. Even old steel-wheeled Fortsons from the 1920s found new life powering sawmills in remote Appalachian locations where electricity hadn't reached. The relationship between speed and power was critical. Run the blade too fast and it would wobble, cutting wavy boards nobody wanted. Too slow, and the blade would bind in the wood. Experienced operators learned to read the sound of their setup, adjusting tractor throttle to maintain the perfect RPM for straight, clean cuts. These mill operations often became community events. Neighbors would bring logs for custom sawing, paying with a percentage of the lumber. The tractor owner might spend weekends cutting lumber for cash or trade, turning idle iron into income. Today, while most commercial mills run on electricity, plenty of old-timers still fire up their belt-driven setups, keeping alive a skill that built rural America one board at a time. Number 7. Ice racing competitors. When winter freezes lakes solid across the northern states, old tractors get studded tires and racing numbers. Ice racing started as informal competitions between farmers with cabin fever, but evolved into organized events with classes, rules, and serious competition. Unlike modern ice racing with purpose-built machines, vintage tractor ice racing celebrates agricultural heritage with a need for speed. Events feature everything from stock 1940s John Deere Model Bs to modified Farmall Super MTAs running on alcohol. The tracks are plowed ovals on frozen lakes, typically quarter-mile circuits where speeds can exceed 60 miles per hour. Impressive for machines designed to plow at 4 miles per hour. Safety modifications are minimal but crucial roll bars, seat belts, and engine kill switches. The real secret is in the tires. Some racers hand stud their own tires with sheet metal screws, creating custom patterns for maximum grip on ice. Others run specialized ice tires with tungsten carbide studs. Weight distribution becomes critical. Too much weight on the rear and you can't steer. Too little and you spin the tires uselessly. The most famous vintage ice racing happens in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, where organizations maintain vintage classes alongside modern divisions. These events preserve not just the tractors, but the competitive spirit of rural winters when farmers had time to tinker and race. It's grassroots motorsport at its finest, where a well-tuned 1952 Alice Chalmers WD can embarrass newer machines, proving that old iron and clever engineering still matter. Number 6, parade showpieces. Every 4th of July, Memorial Day, and hometown celebration across America, restored tractors rumble down Main Street as rolling symbols of agricultural heritage. These parade appearances transform from simple transportation to elaborate productions featuring themed decorations, costume drivers, and enough patriotic bunting to wrap the Capitol. The tradition started organically. Farmers would drive their best tractor to town for parades, often the same machine that worked their fields all week. As tractors became collectibles rather than tools, parade participation evolved into serious business. Clubs formed specifically around parade participation, with members spending months preparing their machines for summer parade seasons. Take the John Deere Two-Cylinder Club, with over 30,000 members and chapters nationwide that coordinate parade entries featuring specific models or production years. A typical parade might include a chronological progression from the 1918 Waterloo Boy, Deere's first tractor after purchasing the Waterloo Gasoline Engine Company, through the Model D introduced in 1923 to the last two-cylinder 730 from 1961, showing John Deere's evolution across 43 years of two-cylinder production. International harvester enthusiasts counter with processions of letter series Farmalls, starting with the revolutionary 1939 Raymond Loewy design models, their distinctive red paint and white wheel centers gleaming under fresh wax and careful detailing. The impact extends beyond nostalgia. These parades introduce younger generations to agricultural history, often sparking interest in restoration projects. Many parade tractors pull wagons carrying veterans, civic leaders, or local royalty, combining community service with preservation. Some groups, like Iowa's defunct Farmall Promenade, elevated parade participation to performance art, but even simple processions of restored tractors draw crowds and camera phones, proving these machines remain cultural touchstones decades after leaving production. Number 5. Aircraft tug conversions. While modern airports use specialized vehicles, the history of aircraft ground handling includes creative repurposing of farm tractors. During World War II and the early aviation boom, small airports couldn't afford purpose-built aircraft tugs. Enter the farm tractor, heavy enough for traction, powerful enough to move planes, and available at every rural airfield. The conversions were straightforward but clever. Remove the three-point hitch, add a pintle hook or ball hitch, fabricate a tow bar adapter, and suddenly that Farmall M could tow a Cessna 172 or Piper Cup. Larger tractors like the Case LA or John Deere Model G handled twin-engine aircraft at regional airports. The low speed and high torque of farm tractors proved ideal for the precise movements required in congested ramp areas. Weight was added for better traction, concrete blocks, wheel weights, or fluid-filled tires. Some operators fabricated special bumpers to push aircraft backward without the complexity of tow bars. The tractor's hydraulics could even power improvised lifting devices for tail dragger aircraft, making ground handling a one-person operation. This practice peaked in the 1950s and 60s when general aviation exploded from 37,000 aircraft in 1945 to over 95,000 by 1960, but airport infrastructure lagged behind. Rural airports from Texas to Minnesota kept old tractors specifically for aircraft handling, often painting them bright aviation yellow or orange for visibility on the tarmac. The practice was so common that equipment dealers sold conversion kits. While liability insurance concerns and specialized equipment eventually ended the practice at commercial fields, private strips still occasionally feature a trusty old John Deere or case-moving Cessnas and Pipers, proving that horsepower is horsepower, whether pulling plows or planes. Number 4. Belt-driven machinery operators. Before widespread rural electrification, tractors were portable power plants running everything from grain mills to washing machines. The belt pulley, that seemingly simple wheel on the side of vintage tractors, transformed American farms by bringing mechanical power to stationary tasks. The statistics tell the story. In 1916, less than 1% of threshing machines were small enough for farm tractors to power. By 1920, that jumped to 65%. All thanks to the belt drive revolution. Farmers would position their John Deere Model D or International Harvester 1020 next to whatever needed power, stretch a belt from tractor to machine, and let the engine do the work. Common applications included hammer mills for grinding feed, corn shellers, hay balers, silage blowers, and water pumps. The Blackstone Washing Machine Company even marketed a belt-driven washer specifically for tractor power. During harvest, one tractor might power a threshing machine all day, then move to the milk house to run the cream separator, and finish by powering the farm workshop's buzzsaw. The science was precise. Belt tension, pulley ratios, and alignment determined efficiency. Too loose and the belt slipped, too tight and bearings burned out. Operators learned to read their setups by sound and feel. Nebraska's Tractor Test Lab even included belt horsepower ratings in their reports, recognizing that stationary power was as important as drawbar pull. This versatility kept tractors working year-round and justified their purchase for farmers who couldn't otherwise afford multiple specialized machines. Number 3. Vintage racing machines. When the checkered flag drops on vintage racing circuits, modified farm tractors compete wheel-to-wheel in competitions that would terrify their original designers. This isn't demolition derby. It's serious racing with classes, points championships, and dedicated racing series across the country. The sport grew from informal field races into organized competition. The Vintage Garden Tractor Racing Association sanctions events where John Deere 110S and wheel horse raiders hit speeds over 30 miles per hour on dirt ovals. These aren't stock lawn tractors. Racers modify engines, lower centers of gravity, and fine-tune suspensions for maximum performance. A competitive Farmall Cub might sport a bored-out engine, racing cam, and alcohol fuel system. Full-size vintage tractor racing takes it further. Organizations run modified classes where 1950s tractors compete on dirt tracks, road courses, and even drag strips. Picture a hopped-up Minneapolis Moline U pulling wheelies down a quarter mile
or modified Alice Chalmers D17S drifting through corners on a dirt oval. Safety equipment is mandatory roll cages, 5-point harnesses, and fire suppression systems, but the tractors retain their agricultural appearance. The appeal crosses generations. Young racers learn mechanics and driving skills on machines their grandfathers farmed with. Veteran racers relive youth while pushing antique iron to its limits. Spectators see familiar tractors in unfamiliar roles, screaming around tracks instead of crawling through fields. It's motorsport that celebrates agricultural heritage while proving these machines were overbuilt from the start. Number 2, stationary engine displays. At every county fair and farm show, you'll find them old tractors transformed into stationary power displays, belts whirring as they operate antique equipment for fascinated crowds. This living history demonstration keeps alive skills that powered pre-electric America. The most popular display is the ice cream maker setup. A John Deere Model E stationary engine or repurposed tractor engine powers a 20-quart country freezer churn, producing fresh ice cream using technology unchanged since the 1920s. The setup requires precise speed control. Too fast and you get butter, too slow and it won't freeze properly. Operators learn to adjust governors by sound, maintaining the perfect 60 revolutions per minute churning speed. Other displays showcase the variety of belt-driven equipment farms required. A single tractor might demonstrate a McCormick Deering corn sheller processing last year's crop, a Meadowstone grist mill grinding cornmeal, a buzz saw cutting firewood, and an Ottawa log saw handling timber. Each requires different speeds and power, showcasing the tractor's versatility. These aren't just static displays, they're interactive education. Visitors see, hear, and smell history, the chuff of the exhaust, the slap of belts, the sweet scent of fresh ground corn. Operators explain pulley ratios, demonstrate proper belt lacing, and share stories of when this equipment fed and built America. Many displays feature multi-generational teams with grandparents who use this equipment daily, teaching grandchildren who've never seen a belt pulley. It's preservation through demonstration, keeping mechanical skills alive for future generations. Number 1, custom promotional vehicles. The ultimate unexpected use for old tractors, Hollywood stardom, and corporate promotion. These machines transcend their agricultural origins to become rolling billboards, movie stars, and marketing tools that capture attention like no modern vehicle can. The transformation started with dealerships painting promotional messages on tractors for parades, but evolved into elaborate custom builds. Beverage companies commission restored tractors painted in brand colors to appear at festivals. John Deere's own marketing department maintains a fleet of perfectly restored vintage models for corporate events, recognizing that a 1955 Model 60 draws more attention than any modern machine. Hollywood discovered tractor stealing potential early. From Elvis Presley driving a Fordson in 1963's It Happened at the World's Fair, to Pixar's Cars franchise featuring anthropomorphic tractor characters that tip like cows, these machines symbolize heartland Americana on screen. Period films particularly value authentic tractors. A properly restored 1948 John Deere Model A can command $500, $1,000 per day for film shoots. Collectors report lucrative rental opportunities for period-correct tractors in films, television commercials, and high-end print advertising campaigns. A restored Farmall H might earn more in a weekend commercial shoot than it grossed in an entire year of Depression-era farming, with some specialty tractors commanding premium rates for their rarity. The pinnacle of promotional tractors comes from custom builders who transform vintage iron into promotional art. We're talking stretched frames, chrome everything, custom paint jobs that cost more than the tractor's original purchase price, and sound systems that would shame a nightclub. These show tractors tour events promoting everything from small-town businesses to major corporations, proving that nothing grabs attention quite like 7,000 pounds of restored American iron. It's the ultimate recycling story. Machines that fed America now sell America, one event at a time. From the dance floor to the drag strip, these mechanical veterans prove that retirement is really just a career change. Whether they're churning ice cream or pulling aircraft, these American-made machines continue contributing to our culture in ways their inventors never imagined. Their cast iron construction and overbuilt engineering means they'll outlive us all, ready for whatever wild purpose the next generation dreams up. If you enjoyed discovering these unexpected tractor tales, smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We've got more surprising stories about the machines that built America coming your way. Until next time, keep those wheels turning and that history alive.